looking at the dating scene makes me not want to be a mother for a very long time. A lot of men nowadays, at least the men that I've met, they just they don't want to work. They usually rely on the woman to make plans regarding dates. They rely on the women to take care of them, to pay rent. They rely on the women to kind of lead in a sense. The birth rate will go down tremendously. And I will be completely okay with that. I am okay with us all dying and starting over.
Down one path is a man that checks 7 out of 10 boxes. Another path, which is you 70 years old and alone. And the third path with you and your humanoid ideal man, 10 out of 10, looks exactly like him in every single way. What would you choose?
My name is Kitta, and I am 26 years old.
And where are you from, Kitta?
I am from Killeen, Texas.
Can you tell us a little bit about your childhood, what it was like growing up?
I grew up in a household with 2 emotionally unavailable parents. All my needs were met, yes, financially, but my emotional needs were pushed to the back burner. I grew up with a father that was constantly working, so he didn't have time for me. And I grew up with a mother that was more focused on her personal life than taking care of her kids.
Who was the most influential person to you growing up?
My grandmother and my father. My grandmother, she has such a divine feminine energy about her. She's kind, compassionate, she's forgiving. She's just a saint in my eyes. And I love how growing up she has taught me to not let other people have so much power over my emotions. She's taught me to forgive. She's taught me to have empathy for everyone. And I admire her for that. And then as for my father, he was always such a hard worker. Although he was gone, he taught me how a man should provide. He taught me how a man should take care of a woman financially. And although not there emotionally so much, he definitely gave me a glimpse of what it's like to be around a man with a positive masculinity.
Who influences you the most today?
I don't really get influenced by people so much. I more so get influenced by the methods or their way of living. So I watch a lot of influencer girls or girls that are into wellness, taking care of themselves spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. And I admire them. I want to start being more stingy with my energy. I want to get rid of my people pleasing tendencies. And I want to put more effort into my physical health and more into my mental. And I admire girls like that. I admire girls that are able to constantly put in the effort to cleanse their energy or to constantly put in the effort to make sure that they look pristine or that their body is in good shape, like 100% of the time. I can be very lazy sometimes. And although I'm working on that, just discipline is not something that I'm good at.
Of the influences that you have in your life right now, how would you say they have affected the way that you see yourself as a woman?
It definitely made me want to be more mean. More mean. I say that with quotations. It made me want to be more stingy with my time and my energy. It wanted me to be able to say no more. It made me want to focus more on putting more effort in the gym, putting more effort into my education. It made me want to level up my life. A lot of people, especially men, know exactly what they're doing. A lot of people feel entitled to your energy. And I want to be able to have healthier boundaries with people and also myself and, say no more and stick to the routines that I plan for myself.
How would you define femininity?
Femininity is, in the Western or the generic definition, Femininity is all about receiving. It's all about being poised, being calm, trusting your intuition, being creative. It's about being in touch with your emotions, being soft, being gentle, and going inward instead of being reactive to the world. With me, femininity is such a broad spectrum nowadays because I don't believe that women should be one way or they shouldn't be the idea of what men believe is a feminine woman. I think femininity is defined by everything around you. It's what you make it to be. A lot of people like to classify me as an aggressive woman or a woman that's very reactive. And to me, that's my femininity. Being able to stand up for myself and value myself is femininity to me.
Do you think we should all be trying to be balanced in these two energies of feminine and masculine, or do you believe that it's better that women be more feminine and men be more masculine?
Well, we all have masculine and feminine energy. We should definitely be more balanced. Nowadays in this economy, most women just can't stay at home and not work, unless they have somebody that is able to provide for both of them. So, going out and working or going out and hustling, that's masculine energy. It's important to have a balance because they're both important for the mental and the physical, even the emotional mostly. I think a lot of men nowadays, they neglect their emotional side because that's how they grew up. They grew up to not be emotional, to not connect with their feminine energy. And some may even say that it's gay to even connect with that energy. But being able to balance both your feminine and masculine energy is it's about being aware. It's about accepting yourself as a whole.
Do you think that there are cultural influences, social influences, that defeminize women and emasculate men?
Oh, definitely. Nowadays, a lot of men want to be taken out on dates. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with spoiling your man, but it comes with such a sassy energy. It comes from a very much, well, what about me type of energy. It comes off very arrogant. A lot of men nowadays, they they want the same treatment that women get. And I know it's coming from a place of, well, I don't feel appreciated. Well, that's completely fine. You should be able to express your needs and wants without having to tear women down or make them feel like shit. And a lot of men nowadays, at least the men that I've met, they just they don't want to work. They usually rely on the woman to make plans regarding dates. They rely on the women to take care of them, to pay rent. They rely on the women to kind of lead in a sense. And I think I know for a fact that's a big problem with women. You notice a lot of women are being in this masculine energy where they feel like they need to be in charge of everything. And I feel like it's okay to let a man lead every now and then. We don't always have to be in control. Even with women, you know, paying for men or, you know, women trying to compete with the men that they're dating. I think it's really unhealthy. There needs to be a better example or some type of influence on how to maintain balance within a relationship.
Is masculinity something that you look for in a man?
Oh, definitely. Masculinity is very important to me. Having a balance is really important, but I've met some men that weren't very masculine in a sense of they would ask me to pay for their dates or they would expect me to. And there's nothing wrong with emotional men. There's nothing wrong with that. But men that constantly ask for validation from their partners or men that are looking for emotional crutch from their partners is a bit too much for me. It's not. I think that's a unhealthy balance of masculinity. But even I associate integrity and assertiveness and confidence with masculinity as well. I really do think it's important as a man that you should get your values in order. before before you date or before you try to find somebody that compliments you. A lot of men nowadays are wandering around, they're lost and they don't even know who they are. And being in touch with your masculine energy and who you are as a man is very important.
What would you contribute that to?
I would contribute it to, let's see, not being so easily influenced by friends and family, having solid boundaries with the people around you, being able to lead and make decisive choices, being able to be assertive when you feel like when you feel like your manhood is being threatened. Also being able to provide, most importantly for yourself. As a man, you should have your own money. You should be able to go to work. I think being how do I say this? Asserting dominance, you know, asserting dominance. I'm not saying in a forceful way, but in a way that that, how do I say, it, puts people in their place. I guess you can't. Let me say this. I feel like you cannot be a man if you can't stick up for yourself, or you can't be a man if you can't set boundaries with people. You can't be a man if you let other people walk all over your loved ones or say anything about your loved ones. You can't be a man if you have no integrity.
So those are masculine traits.
Those are.
And what about
traits.
feminine traits? You mentioned like creative, and you said receiving.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are there any other ways that you would describe
say
femininity?
A feminine trait that is absolute is nurturing, being able to nurture and care for the people that you love.
How do you feel about feminine men?
I love feminine men. They're usually gay, but I love feminine men. I love, actually, let me say this. I love feminine men to an extent. I love them if they are able. I love feminine men if they have 80% masculine. I mean, 80% feminine and 20% masculine. And that 20% has to be the ability for you to stick up for yourself, or the ability for you to assert your dominance in most situations. But I love feminine men. I love gay men. Most men that I consider very feminine are gay, and I absolutely love them. They are one of the most funniest, caring people I've ever met. And I love delving into that energy, because it's kind of so much, it's like, yes, you're a man, but you see me in a way. We're kind of going through the same issues, or you kind of understand how I feel about this situation. So I love feminine men to that extent. The feminine men that were straight that I've met, they were very in touch with their emotions, but they weren't as self-aware. They weren't as they weren't as caring. And I know that's not all feminine men, but the most of the feminine men I've met were very much in touch with their emotions, but more so much as like they became emotionally codependent.
Would you consider being in a relationship with a more feminine man?
No, I wouldn't. I have, and I wouldn't do it again.
You have dated very feminine men?
I have.
And you've dated very masculine men?
Yes.
And what has been the outcome in both those cases?
With the feminine men I've dated, they were, some of them were bisexual. Well, one of them was bisexual. The problem that I noticed with them was that they had a hard time sticking up for themselves, sticking up for me as well. They had a hard time like asserting dominance. Like, they were the type of men that would sit in the passenger seat of a car while a man is like threatening to beat you up, or all this. Like, they didn't have much survival instincts either. It was more so much as like they're very passive. So that's one of the reasons why I wouldn't do it again with the masculine men. The masculine men, I loved how they would step up and lead. You don't have to tell them to get up and do something. You don't have to tell them to be alert of a situation or to defend you. They just do it. It's something that comes to them naturally. And although I love the feminine men when it came to being vulnerable and connecting with their emotions and being able to be compassionate with me, it just, that being able to protect and provide was just, it was too important to me.
Have you noticed that when you are with a more masculine man, it brings out your feminine nature?
Oh, definitely. And I love it. I love how I don't have to really do much. I can relax in a sense, you know. When I'm with a feminine man, I have to be on guard. I have to make sure like nothing happens. I have to make sure I know where the exits are. I have to make sure that I have my wallet on me at all times, that the door will be open. I have to come up with a plan if something were to happen, you know. And I'm more alert when I'm with feminine men because I don't know what it is, but their survival instincts don't go off. Like they're not alert. So, but when I'm with masculine men, I feel like I'm taken care of in a way. I feel like I can relax just a little bit.
So, do you feel better as a woman getting in touch more with your feminine nature as opposed to your masculine nature having to come out?
Absolutely. Because and lately, most of the time, I'm in my masculine energy. I'm always planning my next move. I'm always figuring out how I can better myself, how I can make more money, where do I see myself? What can I do now to, push myself forward? How can I plan for my future? I'm always in that energy. I'm always alert and I'm always ready for change, ready to hustle and get out there. I would love a break from that because it's not always the best energy to be in, especially when you have anxiety or when you get stressed. There needs to be a time and a space for you to just relax and just be able to receive. And that's one of the things that you need to do with manifestation as well. Like, yes, even with manifestation, there needs to be a balance between, going out and getting what you want, putting in effort, but then also relaxing and letting the universe provide for you. And lately, and I can say this for a lot of women, we're just not in that energy. We're always hustling, we're always working. Not a lot of us have the privilege to just sit back and just receive and relax.
So, when you mentioned that you're like hustling, when you're really focusing on your career, how does that impact your dating life?
It definitely doesn't leave much room for anybody to take me out on a date because I try to keep myself busy as much as possible. I try to have great time management. So I'm with a lot of men, with the men that I've recently tried to go out on dates with, they took it very personal. So if I'm focusing on my work or I'm locking in on my creative hobbies or planning for the future, I don't have time to sit back and text you or to plan dates or to come over. And a lot of men that I've talked to took that personally. So it made a lot of men feel insecure. It made them feel emasculated in a way because they have to wait on me for me to like plan dates or get dates together, and I've lost out. Well, I wouldn't say it's a loss, but I've missed out on a couple dates or opportunities to grow a relationship with a certain man.
Do you tend to be attracted to men that show less interest in you?
Well, let me say this. I'm attracted to men that aren't pressed about me. Like, yes, I'm not going to show interest in anybody that is not interested in me. That doesn't make sense to me. But, if you show an interest in me and you're not pressed, about me, and what that means is you're not thirsty. You're not, constantly breathing down my neck or, love bombing me, then I'm attracted to you. But I feel like there has to be mutual attraction. Personally, for me, I will not like anybody that does not like me. It doesn't make sense.
Do you want to be a mother?
Oh, absolutely.
How does this factor into your dating life?
Um, Looking at the dating scene makes me not want to be a mother for a very long time.
Why is that?
I don't see myself having children with a lot of the men out here. I know exactly what a child needs to have like a healthy household. I know what I need to be happy and secure as well to raise these children. And it's just not out there right now. I don't see myself having kids until I'm at least maybe like 40 or 50.
Do you have any concerns about that, waiting for so long to become a mother?
Definitely just the complications with getting pregnant. And and then on top of that, just being old as hell while my kids are growing up. Like that definitely concerns me. But I'm caught between whether or not if it's selfish of me to have kids that old, or if I should continue with that dream simply because I'm so determined to be a mother. But I don't see myself. Actually, I do see myself being a single mother if I was able to take care of my children on my own, like completely. I wouldn't mind just like having a surrogate mother or just having kids by myself, you know. And that wouldn't be bad simply because I have enough male figures around me that would be great role models for my kids, or that would give them the nurture and care that a father would. So I could see myself doing that maybe in like my mid 30s or late 30s, early 40s. But as of right now, I don't see myself having kids with anybody.
Why is it that you don't see yourself being a mother with the current dating scene right now?
A lot of these men are very selfish. They're very selfish. They're cruel. They have no ounce of empathy or compassion. There's no emotional intelligence. It's just strict and just games and just just bad communication. It's fucked up out here. I wouldn't ever see myself with any of the options that I have now, or the options out here. I don't see myself having kids with any of them, because if you're going to be treating me bad, if you have all these bad behaviors and all this baggage and trauma, you're going to put that on my kid. And I don't believe in being in a relationship with somebody that could be a good father but be a terrible partner. That's horrible. I think, well, I know the way that you treated me will get passed down to my children, because it's a personality issue. It's trauma. And I don't want to put that on my kids. And I don't want my kids to see me struggling growing up. Like, I want my kids to be in a healthy household where they get to see their mother and their father loving each other, and in return, loving them.
So you mentioned been on 50 dates, more or less,
Yes.
and you've had 5 relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean that 45 of the 50 men you knew right off they would be bad fathers, bad
Oh,
partners?
absolutely. Or maybe one of them. One of them, I was like, you know what? I could see you being a good partner and a good father.
1 out of 50.
Well, no, 1 out of 5.
Oh, so right. So 45 out of the 50, right up the bat, you just knew they would be bad
They would be
fathers.
terrible.
And then of the 5 that you had relationships, only 1 did you actually believe would be a good father.
Absolutely.
Okay. And what is it about that one guy that set him apart from everybody else?
He was just really kind. He was kind. He was caring. He was compassionate. And then on top of that, he was able to have accountability for himself. Like, he was able to admit when he was wrong. He didn't have an ego about it either. He was just really nice. And then on top of that, he was focused and he was a provider. He wasn't out here running the streets or going out on like all these dates and stuff like that. Funny enough, how ironic. But he was just focused, and that's what I liked in a man. He had great communication too.
What role does your intuition play in your decision making?
It plays a big role. So I do this thing where I go off my intuition and then I go off my pattern recognition. Like, for instance, if I've seen how you've acted before in past circumstances, I kind of apply that to current circumstances of, like, something that all humans do. But with my intuition, I can just feel it. Like it usually only takes me about 10 to 20 minutes within talking and meeting somebody whether or not we're going to be a good match. And most of the time, it's like, no, this isn't a good match for you.
Are there times where you trust your intuition and times that you don't?
Oh, absolutely. With my ex, my intuition was very strong with him. When I first met my ex, I had dreams of me telling myself to not trust him and that he was a fraud and that he's this, and that. And I didn't trust it. I had inklings about like him cheating on me. I kept having, I just kept having like a lot of dreams and a lot of weird feelings, and I ignored it. I ignored it because I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep giving him the benefit of the doubt because the stuff that he's saying to me sounds like it's the truth, but it just wasn't. So I constantly had dreams of him cheating on me. I had dreams of me feeling depressed. I had like dreams that, I flew to go and see him and he like left me for somebody else. And that's something that actually happened in real life. So I get these premonitions about people that I know that are going to be very significant in my life that could either make or break me. And I usually follow that premonition on whether or not I would continue to have them to be in my life. Because most of the time it is right. There isn't anybody that I have cut off where I felt bad more so, or I felt like shameful or regretful for cutting them off. Most of the time I make the right decision.
So you would say that most of the time your intuition is actually correct.
Yes.
When is it not? Like how much is it correct? How much is it not?
Huh. To be honest, not a lot. It's not, it's rarely incorrect. That's the funny thing about it. There was never a time where my intuition told me not to do something and it didn't turn out to be complete shit, or the person didn't turn out to be like not a good person. Most of the time it's right.
When you are vetting a man to be in a relationship with, how much of your decision making is based on logic and how much of it is based on emotion or your intuition?
Um, well, I'll say most of the time it's logic because sometimes you just have to use common sense with these men. Like it's like such a no-brainer. So I would say about 50% intuition, 50% logic. In most cases, like 60% logic, 40% intuition. There were a couple times where I found a guy, he matched off, like he checked off all my boxes, but then something was still telling me that something wasn't right. And this is so funny because most of the time when something tells me that, like most of the time when my intuition tells me that, it's usually they have like really bad anger issues or they have trauma or suppressed emotions. And, I like to, intuition is usually connected with the emotions most of the time as well. So, about like, there has been a handful of times where I've seen somebody and they checked off all my boxes, and my intuition was like, okay, something's still not right about this person. You know,
Have you ever gone against your intuition?
oh, all the time. Yeah.
All the time?
Not all the time.
Many times.
Many times. I was referring to my ex. Yeah, all the time I went against my intuition with him. I have this really bad problem with giving the people the benefit of the doubt instead of just cutting them off the first time. Well, I had this problem. I don't have it as much anymore. But my intuition would tell me so many times about these people, and I'd be like, just cut it off, just end things with them. And I would just be like, no, well, maybe they could change, or maybe I'm being a little bit paranoid about it. But no, most of the time it's right.
And this has changed over time. You mentioned a lot of the dating coaches and things, the influences that you're following now. How have they affected you, and how has this changed over time?
To be honest, most of my learning just came from experience. Like I did watch like the dating coaches and stuff like that, and they helped a bit, but I find it so cliche in a way because I would want things to happen more naturally. I want to meet somebody that's like, okay, well, I'm not playing games with you, and you're not playing games with me. Let's get together and see if we can work this out. So I do watch the dating coaches and these like influencers now. Um, I watch the dating coaches more so much for entertainment, but the influencers that talk about a way to carry yourself and how to attract somebody that's on the same wavelength or frequency as you. That's what I mostly focus on. All of my experience regarding like how to deal with these men or how to see the signs of like a manipulative or a manipulative person or a player just came from my experiences. But I can't say the dating coaches have helped me with being more decisive and logical with my decision picking.
How would you describe your current dating life?
Now it's non-existent. I well, I still date every now and then, but it's way less. Very much. I think the most recent date that I went on was like at the beginning of the month, and it was not it. It was not good.
Are you fed up with dating?
To be honest, yeah. I'm starting to realize I don't like too many people. Like there's not too many people that are interesting. And if I feel like you don't have the full package, I feel like it's a waste of time, you know?
And
I,
what would you contribute that to?
work, just being burnt out, just like recognizing the behaviors in certain men and understanding that they are very similar to past experiences. You know, a lot of men nowadays aren't that interesting.
What frustrates you the most about modern dating?
There's people that are dating that are married or in relationships or that are living with like their ex. It's just so annoying and frustrating. There's people that are playing games now, like the whole, oh, I'm not going to text back because he took 2 hours to text back, or I'm not going to be the one to hit this person up first. There's these ego games, and it's just annoying. And then on top of that, you're married and you're trying to date, or you're in a relationship and you're trying to date. It's just so stupid. You're putting piss in the dating pool. So those are the most annoying things that I've encountered because it's just like, what is the purpose of you having two women? You can barely take care of the one you have now. It's very stupid. I'm over it.
So, what does the ideal relationship look like for you?
Ideal relationship looks like for me, it looks like me having my own life, having my own career, me having my friends, me being a fleshed out person, and then having a partner that's the same way. It looks like us focusing on ourselves and then coming together and just focusing on each other. It looks like us living separately for a while until we decide that we are secure enough to live together. It looks like somebody that is able to take care of themselves financially. It looks like somebody that um, that's emotionally aware. It looks like somebody that has some type of accountability, that's self-aware. Somebody that understands that I have my own life and they have their own life. And then when we come together, it's about us, you know. And also somebody that's willing to build and work with their partner. You know, I understand there's going to be times where we do come close and we're going to need to put our finances together, or we come close and we're going to need to work through our issues in a relationship. I want somebody that's open to growth and change, and that isn't making the relationship their whole world.
What role does marriage play in society, but more your life?
Marriage is it's just a formal commitment. I don't really care too much for marriage, unless I know for a fact that I don't know. I feel like I would use marriage as like a safety net. I don't really care to be traditionally married. I wouldn't mind just having like a partnership. with someone and we not be traditionally married, but we have the same values as a marriage. But either way, it's marriage is just something that solidifies a connection. It solidifies that bond in all areas of life. Personally, to me, I don't care so much for marriage. I would love to have like a partnership, like a sacred ceremony between two people rather than get married at a courthouse or have this big ceremony in front of people. But marriage is what solidifies that bond.
What do you think about non-traditional relationships? Not only the one that you're talking about, which is, long-term partnership, monogamous partnership, but polygamous relationships.
Yeah,
What are your thoughts on that?
don't agree on it. A lot of men just want polygamous relationships, even women. A lot of people just want polygamous relationships just so that way they have multiple people to fuck on, or multiple people to depend on financially, or multiple people to depend on emotionally. I don't agree with it at all. I don't see the purpose of having two people. I mean, I guess I could. I could see the purpose of having two people for like two different needs, but it just doesn't. It's just so much work. It just doesn't seem right to me. And then on top of that, a lot of the people that want polygamous relationships are broke. They can't take care of two people. So now it's three people. Yeah, it's basically three people in a house, all sharing finances and living together. And I understand it's supposed to be a community, but I just don't see it that way. I feel like there's always one person, one or two people that are usually uncomfortable with the idea, but they're settling for it.
Given the choice between your ideal relationship and being single, growing old and being single, what are your thoughts on settling?
I That depends. Some people view settling as, okay, well, this person isn't checking off 100% of my boxes, but they're checking off 80. So this is good enough. I feel like that's fine if you're able to still be happy and comfortable with that person, because not all of the things on your list as a man you're gonna, or as a person, whatever, all the things on your list that you want in a partner are not always going to be there. And that's okay as long as you're able to feel loved and comfortable in the relationship you're in. Now, if you're just settling and you're like, I don't fucking like this person, but they're good to me, then I can't agree with that. I personally, I'm okay with dying alone. I am okay with dying alone if it means that my dogs and my family get to be happy. Well, my dog, I'm okay with that if it means that they get to be happy. I'm at a point in my life where I am so comfortable in my own skin. I'm so comfortable with finding self-realization and healing others and connecting with others that if I were to die alone, it would not bother me, because I know I made an imprint on this life without being in a relationship. So I don't mind that. It would be nice to be in a relationship with somebody, to share that with somebody, have a connection. Personally, me, I don't think I'm meant to be alone. Like, I do see somebody in my future that I'm supposed to be building with. But if it doesn't come, that's completely okay. I'll die alone.
So, given the choice between settling below 80-20 of what you want, would you choose being single the rest of your life?
Oh, yeah. If it's not like the situation that I described, I would die alone.
What do you think about the impact that would have on society if we all were of the mentality of um, refusing to settle?
Oh, we'll be wiped out. And I'll be here for it. Like, the birth rate will go down tremendously. And I will be completely okay with that. I am okay with us all dying and starting over.
Given the choice between the nuclear family of 80 years ago and watching the world burn, what would you choose?
are the people going to be happy in the nuclear family? Or is it like it's giving 50, 60 vibes where somebody's getting beat on and somebody's drunk at home, or one of the partners are financially dependent on the other? Is it that type of like nuclear family?
What if it was?
Oh yeah, we're gonna die. Yeah, might as well.
So the choice between the nuclear family, the traditional family, given all of the risks and possibilities,
I'll die alone.
you'd prefer?
Yeah, I'll have to die alone. I can't see myself completely. Ah, that depends. If the relationship is good, I can depend on somebody completely. But I like to have my hobbies. I like to have my own money. I like to have some form of independence. If not, I'm dead. Just kill me.
What do you think about AI and the possible future of humanoids?
Oh my God.
What do you think about all that?
Oh, I think it'll be horrible. Imagine the men out there that are like severely sexually deprived and they're aggressive and they have issues. Some people are really freaky, mostly men, are really deranged. And imagine if they have this aggressive and psychotic energy towards women, imagine what they're going to do to these robots. And I wouldn't be mad if the robots took over and killed us. I wouldn't even be mad at that because you're fucking the robots and you're killing them. Not killing them, you're fucking the robots, you're mistreating them. I would be surprised if the robots came up like I Am Robot and killed everybody. I don't know. It's just weird. Oh, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in AI either. I don't think AI is a good thing.
I want you to take like just a few seconds, 10 seconds, and imagine your perfect ideal man. You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If there was a robot that was indistinguishable from a human and could be programmed to be that ideal man, would you buy him?
Oh, so this is on some Black Mirror stuff. I couldn't do it. I would be respectfully sleep with one, maybe to see how it is, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't be with one.
So if there's a fork in the road, down one path is a man that checks 7 out of 10 boxes. Another path, which is you 70 years old and alone. And a third path with you and your humanoid ideal man. 10 out of 10 looks exactly like him in every single way. What would you choose?
I'm not settling down with the robot.
Okay, so what would you choose next?
I'll choose to die.
You would choose to die.
Yeah.
So the robot would be your last choice? Or the 7 out of 10 man would be?
Maybe if I'm like really, if I knew that the world was going, if I knew that we were all going to hell and the world was going to burn and the robots were going to take over one day, or we're just going to be so brain rotten that we just can't function as a society anymore, I'd be like, you know what? Let me fuck with the robot for a little bit. But I just can't do it. Like, I want somebody that's real. And I feel like with technology, because I've been around AI, I've studied, I've seen it, I feel like they make them so accommodating to the point it's unnatural, it's subservient. So I couldn't do it.
Would you choose the robot or the 6 out of 10 guy?
Oh, I'm gonna choose a robot. Because the 6 out of 10 guy may beat me or something, or he may like constantly cheat on me. At least I know the robot isn't going anywhere. Mm.
So the 6 out of 10 guy is your last choice.
Oh yeah.
What does love mean to you?
Mm. Love is about being free. Love is about being vulnerable without fear of judgment. Love is about being comfortable. It's about being happy. Love is about seeing the flaws in somebody and accepting them fully. And love is about, growth. So love to me, it's everything that you would feel if you were at peace. And a lot of people like to think, oh, it's these butterflies and all this other stuff. I don't think that's love. Love is something that is much more grounded. It's more accepting. It's more calm. It's not loud or fluttery. It's not all over the place. It's calm, stable, and it's peaceful.
Do you have any relationship advice for women?
Do not settle. Trust your intuition. Stay surrounded with people that respect themselves and that respect you. Talk to your girlfriends or your friend, talk to your family about, any advice about how you can vet better men. And just figure out who you are before you start dating. Don't jump into dating. Take some time to figure out what it is that you actually want and who you are.
Do you have any relationship advice for men?
Go to therapy. Figure out who you are before you start dating. Practice sexual discipline. What else? Get your life together. Don't try to get in a relationship if you don't have a car or any money or your own place. Get yourself together. And also recognize if you have trauma. Recognize the patterns when you start projecting or manipulating, and find somebody that's on the same wavelength as you. Like, if you're growing and evolving, you should be finding somebody that's on the same frequency.
Would you like to share anything about yourself with the audience, about what you're doing?
Sure. So I consider myself a creative girly. I'm on my way to being a boss girl. And when I reach that status, I want to help other women learn to value and love themselves and to work through any hurt and pain that was caused from previous relationships or even from your childhood. I want to be able to help you grow. I want to be able to open your mind up to the dating world so that way you can understand that you don't have to keep settling for what's comfortable, or you don't have to accept toxic behaviors. And I usually do that through my Instagram called Guidance by Key. I give tarot readings, spiritual coaching, Reiki healing, all types of energy healing. And I sometimes have workshops where women come together and we're vulnerable with each other. We're working on ourselves. Personally, me, with my other endeavors, I make music, I model, I make poetry, I direct videos sometimes. I'm a very creative person, and you can find that on my Instagram at fuckitskey_.
Is there anything else?
No,
Okay. Well, thanks for your time.
absolutely.